Imagine for a moment that the last century of global wars wasn't random chaos, but a scripted reset. A holographic simulation designed to depopulate, recondition, and disconnect humanity from its own authenticity. This isn't conspiracy theory, it's pattern recognition. World War I erased empires. World War II erased cultures. And now, World War III looms not as an accident of history, but as the final act of a system that thrives on controlled destruction. Today, we trace the three great resets, how they were engineered, why they succeeded, and how the next one is already being coded into our collective psyche. Pause 2 seconds, but first let's define the simulation. Section 1, the War Simulation 100 Hours 330. Tone, educational, methodical emphasis. War is not a failure of diplomacy. It is a tool of depopulation and psychological reprogramming. 1. World War I 1914 to 1918, the first reset. A war so pointless, even historians struggle to justify it. Yet it achieved three critical goals. Depopulation, 20 million dead, mostly young men, the useless eaters of the era. Economic reset, the death of the gold standard, birth of central banking Federal Reserve, 1913. Cultural trauma, the end of monarchy's divine right replaced by technocratic governance. The Spanish flu 1918 wasn't an accident, it was the biological mop-up of a war that left too many wounded. 2. World War II 1939 to 1945, the second reset. This time, the simulation upgraded. It wasn't just about killing, it was about erasing identity. Depopulation, 60 to 80 million dead, Holocaust, Hiroshima, Stalingrad. Psychological re-engineering, the birth of modern propaganda, Goebbels, Hollywood war films, Disney's WW2 cartoons. Technological leap, jet engines, computers, nuclear power tools for the next phase of control. The United Nations 1945 wasn't peace. It was the first global governance as a prototype for today's technocratic rule. 3. World War III, the planned reset. The third act is always the most predictable. The script is already written in the Bible, in geopolitical white papers, and in AOR games. Depopulation targets, climate change, pandemics, unlimited nuclear exchange, e.g. Iran-Israel escalation. Digital control, CBDCs, social credit, and AI-driven censorship to manage post-war societies. The Armageddon narrative, why is the US and Israel obsessed with Iran? Because the Bible's Kings of the East prophecy Revelation 16:12 requires a Middle Eastern flashpoint. Governments don't start wars, they fulfill scripts. Pause 3 seconds, but here's the question: if war is a simulation, who are the players? And who are the NPCs? Section 2, the Holographic Masters 3600 Hours. Tone, philosophical, revealing emphasis. The system isn't run by politicians. It's run by architects, men who understand that reality is a projected illusion. 1. The holographic control grid. Think of society as a 3D simulation, where education equals the code that writes your thought patterns. Religion equals the user interface for moral compliance. Media equals the real-time render engine of perceived reality. Law enforcement equals the anti-cheat software. Every war resets the simulation's parameters. WW1 installed central banking. WW2 installed global governance. WW3 will install digital feudalism. 2. The death of authenticity. In 1900, people still thought for themselves. By 2024, we outsource thinking to algorithms, Google, TikTok, AI. Influencers, celebrities, politicians, gurus. Corporate narratives, the science is settled. Authenticity died when we started asking for permission to speak, to trade, even to breathe. See COVID passports. 3. Civil obedience as the endgame. The goal isn't just control, it's voluntary slavery. A population that celebrates its chains. See LGBTQ+ corporate pride, woke capitalism. Demands censorship misinformation laws, deplatforming. Begs for universal basic income equals universal basic dependence. WW3 won't be about winning. It'll be about who gets to press the reset button. Pause to second. So how does Iran fit into this? Section 3 Iran, Armageddon, and the Bible's War Script 600 hours 8:30. Tone analytical, urgent but controlled emphasis. The war in Iran isn't about oil, nukes, or terrorism. It's about fulfilling a 2,000-year-old prophecy, one that governments are actively staging. 1. The biblical blueprint. Revelation 16:12-16 describes Armageddon, a final battle where the kings of the East, read China, Russia, Iran, march toward Israel. The US plays the role of Babylon the Great. Revelation 18, the corrupt empire that falls. Why is the US provoking Iran? Because the script requires. A Middle Eastern war check, Israel Hamas, US strikes in Syria. A global economic collapse check, 2024 recession warnings. A savior narrative check, West's Great Reset, a messiah, Islam asterisk. 2. The government's role. Politicians don't write the script, they audition for roles. Example. Biden equals the weak, failing empire Babylon. Netanyahu equals the zealot king Revelations beast. Iran's Ayatollah equals the kings of the East antagonist. When you see US carriers in the Persian Gulf, that's not strategy, that's stage direction. 3. The simulation's endgame. WW3 won't be a hot war. It'll be a controlled demolition. Cyber attacks, grid failures, bank runs. Bioweapons lab leak to point zero. AI-generated false flags, deepfake crises. The goal. A global reset button moment, where the old system dies and the new one, CBDCS, digital ID, AI governance, is born from the chaos. Outro, the way out 8:30 hours. Tone, hopeful but firm. Pause to second. So what do we do? How do we exit the simulation? 1. Reject the narrative. Stop consuming scripted reality. Turn off mainstream news, its predictive programming. Social media trends, their algorithmic hypnosis. Corporate woke culture, its divide and conquer asterisk. 2. Reclaim authenticity. Authenticity is the antivirus to the simulation. Start thinking for yourself, question everything. Building real communities, not digital echo chambers. Creating value outside the system, local trade, homesteading, art asterisk. 3. Prepare for the reset. WW3 is coming, but it doesn't have to be your reset. Stockpile. Knowledge, history, critical thinking. Skills, gardening, first aid, trade crafts. Real assets, gold, land, tools, not digital currency asterisk. Final pause, 3 seconds. The simulation only works if you believe it's real. The moment you see the code, you become the glitch they can't control. Stay awake. The next act is coming.